this is Sarah with Wichita Public Library, and I'm here today to talk about Category 2, Own Voices with Read ICT. If you're not familiar with Own Voices is a genre where the subject of the book reflects the author's experience. So that could be a person of color, a person of a marginalized group, someone in the LGBTQ community, something to that effect. The first book that I've chosen is There, and this is by Tommy Orange. This is a fictional book about Native Americans, and it has 12 intersecting stories. The folks in this book are all going to the big Oakland powwow, and some of them are as crazy as there's a heist involved, or we've got a grandma reuniting with some of her grandchildren she's never met. They're all over the spectrum. What's really interesting about this book is that Tommy's discussion talks about the diaspora of Native Americans and how they've been spread out across the country and how they come together to reunite. It talks about the importance of powwows for their culture, a way for them to not only get together but also sell their wares and celebrate their identity. So if you're looking for Own Voices, Native American perspective, There by Tommy Orange is a really good book to pick up. Second book for Own Voices is Darius the Great is Not Okay. This is a YA novel, and what's really interesting about this book is that it focuses on Darius. He's a half Persian, half American teenager in Portland, and he struggles with his identity. He never really feels like he fits in. He also has clinical depression. So when he finds out that his grandfather is sick in Iran, his family decides to go visit him. He's really anxious about this trip, but when he goes to Iran, he actually meets someone really inspiring, and that is another teenage boy, Sorab. That's his grandfather's neighbor. They develop a really strong relationship, and Darius is able to let loose and kind of understand that he doesn't have to worry about other people's expectations. He can be himself, and he can be accepted for that. So this story focuses on the friendship between Sorab and Darius and finding self-acceptance. It's a great coming-of-age story, but it's also really nice to learn the nuances of Persian culture and how that plays out for Darius and his family. My third selection for Own Voices is Dominicana, and this is by author Angie Cruz. This is an autobiographical book, but it's taken from her mother's perspective, and it talks about a 15-year-old, Anna, who's in the story, or Anna. She immigrates from the Dominican Republic, and she marries a man that's twice her age. She's kind of coerced into this relationship by her family. They're seeking independence. There's a lot of turmoil in the Dominican Republic. And so they end up marrying and immigrating to New York City. She is out of place there and doesn't know how to cope with this stress, but she knows that she has to because she wants her family to come abroad and join her. And so it talks about her relationship with her husband, but also it focuses on her independence when he ends up leaving her to go back to the Dominican Republic and secure his investments there. So when he's gone in his absence, she's able to find out who she is, explore the culture of New York, delve into learning English more thoroughly, and it gives her a sense of pride. That gives her the strength that she needs later in the book when she has to confront her husband and the demons that they wrestle with. So I would recommend Dominicana for a Latina perspective, Latinx perspective. It's a very good story. The one caveat I will say is it's written like it's spoken, and there is no punctuation. So if you are used to seeing things in parentheses or in quotation marks, you're going to have to let that go in order to feel comfortable reading this story. Last but not least, if you're looking for nonfiction, this is Thick, and this is by Tessa McMillan Cottom. She is a sociologist professor, but she's also very prolific on social media. She has a blog and she's written for many publications. And this book, she discusses what it is to be a Black American woman in our contemporary society. And she does that in a way that it's extremely personal to her account, but she makes it accessible to the readers. And what she's making comment on is beauty and identity, how that relates to racism, how that relates to healthcare. They're very personal essays that she writes that have been published in other publications that she compiles in this book. It was important for me to read because as a woman who wants to champion feminism, there are things that are often overlooked, and Tessa does a really good job bringing in her discussion of everyone that's involved in the feminist take. If you're looking for more recommendations for Read ICT Category 2 Own Voices, check our website, Wichita Library/Read ICT. You can also follow us on Facebook, or if you're looking for ebook recommendations, check out our Libby app and our ebooks on Overdrive.